the desert train rolls by, try to make Lone Pine by morning. Miles of highway in the sand, kicking dust in cowboy land, riding all the daylight through.
Welcome back, everyone. I hope you all are doing well and enjoying this beautiful summer wherever you are. It has been a little while since my last upload. I really wanted to slow down and just spend some time with family and friends, do some traveling, and just step away from the usual routine. Of course, I've been spending plenty of time in the studio and doing a lot of paintings and prep work for larger paintings, and that's really what I want to show you through this video. I thought it would be great to show you my full creative process and just take you along with what happens before a painting ever begins and how I look for inspiration and yeah, all that fun stuff. So grab some tea, grab some coffee, get cozy, and let's get started. Before I jump into a larger painting, I always first begin with a small warm-up, especially if I haven't painted in a while. I know I mention this in nearly every video, but doing little warm-up paintings, they're just the most valuable parts of the process. When a painting doesn't have to be perfect, you're much more willing to experiment and make mistakes and just try something new. And for me, that's where a lot of my growth has happened. I've been really drawn to a Black Art Nouveau aesthetic lately, so I thought this would be the perfect opportunity to experiment and push my brushwork a little further and try little abstract styles, I guess. Just a different approach and just give myself the freedom to play before starting something a little more serious. Once I felt warmed up and gotten some of these ideas out of my system, I was ready to move on to sketching. This is probably, my favorite part of the entire process. It's definitely where I get to explore ideas, and I'm not thinking about my finished painting yet. I'm really just trying to figure out what feels worth spending time on for the next several weeks. I always seem to return to the same kinds of stories surrounding Black love or family life, children, and just simply like celebrating care and connection. When I came across this reference of a father reading to his daughter, I just thought it was a really beautiful and tender moment. I knew immediately that I wanted to paint it. I loved how this reference celebrated fatherhood through something very simple. Just sitting together, reading, being present, spending quality time. I think those moments are often the ones that stay with us for the rest of our lives, and I thought it was just really special. Now for the more technical parts, and like most of my paintings, I start out with a thin underpainting of transparent oxide brown, and I just start blocking in kind of the large shapes and get the gesture of the head before I worry about color. If you'd like to see that process in more detail, I share longer painting demonstrations and tutorials over on my Patreon, so definitely check that out. I kept the background pretty loose and the edges kind of soft. There was definitely parts that I painted in and certain things that I chose not to paint at all. When I look at the work of E.B. Lewis, who has been a huge influence, his paintings and illustrations are just painted with such tenderness, and I really wanted that same feeling to come through my work as well. I still knew that I wanted to paint a large painting by the end of summer, and as I finished painting this, I found myself reflecting on the father figure in my own life, and my grandpa came to mind almost instantly, and that's when I knew he had to be the subject of my next painting. So I think I'm going to put it in this frame. I have this frame that I thrifted from Goodwill. It's very cute. It's kind of, you can tell it's old. It has like dust here, but frames can be very expensive, so it goes like that. I'm going to order a big frame or a big panel for the larger painting that I want to do. I'm a little nervous because I haven't done a big painting in a while, so we'll see. Yeah, so stay tuned. So now that I had a pretty clear idea of what subject I wanted to paint, I definitely needed to make a little trip to the art store. I don't know about everybody else, but walking into the art store, every single time I feel like a kid in a candy shop. I just want to buy everything. And this store is really special because they carry Rosemary & Co brushes in person, and of course they carry Gamblin, which is my favorite brand, and they also have Richardson oils, which is a little paint brand that I also enjoy. They have golden ochre, which is a great substitute for yellow ochre for me, and I also like their burnt umber. And here I am looking for sketchbooks, and I was like, no, I don't need it, let me save my money. I got what I needed. I got my yellow, my red, my black, and my white, and I was ready to go. Now, normally starting a 24x30 would have me in a chokehold, but this time I felt pretty confident. I spent a lot of time planning and putting together my mood board, so let me show you what that process looks like. So I use Milanote to organize all of my references and build my mood boards. So this is the board I created for this painting. I love having one place where I can gather everything before I start, my references, sketches, color palettes, and just all the little details that help me shape the story I want to tell. So I'll start a new project and name it after whatever I'm working on. So for this painting, I'm titling it Thy Daily Bread. Milanote has plenty of templates to choose from, but personally I love starting with just a blank board because every painting is a little different. And then from there, I will build what I call my project hub. This is where I keep my mood boards, my sketches, planning notes, little to-do lists, so I always have one place to refer back to. I also create separate boards for things like brushwork, frames, photography, process inspiration, etc. And they're not always completely filled out and beautiful, but I just like giving each idea its own kind of space because they will naturally kind of develop alongside my painting. And then of course I start to build my main board. The first thing I bring in is the reference that I'm going to paint from, and this is the photograph that I'll be using. From there, I will collect artworks that inspire different parts of the painting. So sometimes that can be brushwork, it can be the lighting, or even a reference that kind of resembles my painting so it can show me how I want to do things. Once I have a nice collection going, I'll organize everything into these columns, and I will title each section. Underneath, I'll leave myself little painting notes and reminders to, keep my palette limited, watch my highlights, or simplify things. One of my favorite features in Milanote is the web clipper. If I come across a painting or something that inspires me on Pinterest, instead of downloading everything one by one, I can just clip it and drag it straight into my project, and it makes collecting inspiration so much quicker. I'll also add a few of my own personal sketches and drag them in just to make things feel more connected. And lastly, I will use this eyedropper tool. This isn't necessary, but sometimes I'll pull out the main lights and darks from my references. It's definitely helpful because it gives me a better idea of the kinds of colors that I'll be mixing before I start painting. And probably my favorite part is adding the more personal side of the painting. For this portrait, I wanted to include little pieces of my grandpa's world. He grew up in rural Georgia, so I found myself collecting images of the American South, old churches, kind of a black pastoral life, vintage photographs, etc. None of these things will obviously appear in the painting directly, but it helps me hold on to the feeling that I'm trying to convey. I'll also keep coming back to this board if I decide to continue the series or create another painting because everything's already here. I'll also use board nesting, which lets me create smaller mood boards inside the main one. I made separate boards for photographers like Gordon Parks and Carrie Mae Weems, whose work really inspired the mood and the atmosphere. And with everything finally just mapped out, all that was left to do was pick up my brush. So there's just a little glimpse into the way that I plan and prepare for my paintings. Milanote has definitely made things a lot easier, so I definitely recommend it. If you guys want to try Milanote for yourself, I'll have the link in the description. It's completely free. So yeah, thank you so much to Milanote for sponsoring this video, and let's get into some painting. The very first portrait I ever shared on YouTube was actually of my grandpa, so in a strange way, this painting really feels like I'm coming full circle. Something I've realized over the years is that every face teaches you something different. Painting portraits has taught me to simplify, but I think that's especially true when you're painting someone older. There is so much more information to work with. When I look at an older face, I don't really see wrinkles and all the little details. I see bony structure. I see the way the cheekbone catches the light, the way the temples sink back, the planes across the forehead. Just every line is describing some part of the form underneath. But the real challenge isn't finding information, it's deciding what deserves to stay. That's why I always begin with an underpainting like this. At this stage, I'm not really painting my grandpa, I'm building the architecture his face is going to sit on. So if the values work, almost everything becomes kind of easy. Not easy, but it's easier. And if they don't, no amount of beautiful color is going to save my painting. Every portrait goes through what I call the floating head stage, where there's really just no context, no clothing, no background, and for a little while it just looks kind of a little alien. And years ago that stage would freak me out and shake my confidence. But now I've painted enough portraits to know it's really just part of the process. Our brains naturally edit out unnecessary information, and I really think painting should do the same thing. Artists like Susan Lyon and Richard Smith, all those technical painters, they just know exactly what to resolve and what to leave alone, and it's amazing. Up close, some of their work is just like a handful of brushstrokes, but when you step back, it suddenly feels so realistic and convincing, and that's definitely the point I hope to get to. Once I felt that I rendered the portrait enough to a likeness, I started in on the background. I kept things very vague, scratchy, kind of like I was using charcoal almost. My goal was really just to not have anything in the background compete with his portrait, because his portrait, I want it to be the focal point. Ironically, his hair was the easiest part. Thank you, Grandpa. He has like 20 strands of hair left, so thankfully that part went by pretty quickly. Somewhere along the way, I found myself becoming much less interested in chasing the next impressive painting and much more interested in painting the people, the stories, and places that have shaped my life. For a long time, I thought inspiration meant looking outside of myself or farther away, finding something bigger, more extraordinary or dramatic. But this summer it really dawned on me that some of the most meaningful stories have been right in front of me all along. They're in our families, around the dinner table, and in everyday conversations. I can't think of a better place to begin than with the people who made me who I am. Thank you all so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed coming along with me, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.